The art of tattooing that we have proof of is about 5,700 years. And that was found on the Iceman, and I believe the Italian Alps. And they found dots, they found triads, they found these different little series of dots over the course of his body. But what was very interesting about that was that these areas that he was tattooed are actually points that acupuncturists and acupressurists use.
I've just always had a deep-seated, like, past life type of a connection with, like, the whole, like, Indian, Asian, like, philosophy, art, like, all that stuff I've just always been really attracted to for some reason. When I was 15 or so, I started to get into skateboarding and punk, rock music, and just music in general. All of my friends were into the same stuff. They were getting tattoos, so that's kind of what got me interested in tattooing.
The majority of my energy is styles from all indigenous cultures of the earth. Didn't take long for a caveman to probably draw a spiral in the sand, and I guarantee you another caveman on the other part of the planet has drawn a spiral in the sand. So a lot of these shapes and images I work with, they're multicultural, they're very diverse, they're from lots of different backgrounds and places.
Traditionally with Japanese tattooing, like when it first started, the firemen and policemen were getting these large, kind of intimidating tattoos to make themselves stronger and to make themselves more feared and more like impervious to the fire and to the elements and to people.
The two methods that I'm aware of, the two main methods I'm aware of, is either tapping, which is an elongated stick with a cone-like point at the end, and you tap on that with another stick. The Japanese, of course, use just a single shaft, and it's called arizumi, and poke it in that way. Modern tattooing is used with an electric machine, and it's still pretty much doing the same thing. It's penetrating the skin with needles, with ink on the needles. The Maori were different. The Maori didn't just use needles. Actually, if you look very closely on the Maori, on their moko and their faces, it's actually channeled. The skin is removed. It's three-dimensional. Their tattooing was extremely painful, and death was not uncommon. My first tattoo was in 1990, and I was fresh out of the Marine Corps boot camp and home on leave, and I can honestly say I never thought about getting a tattoo. And then I got into the Marines. I started seeing them more on our drill instructors and some of the other guys there, and I was pretty fascinated by them. So I knew as soon as I got out of boot camp, I most certainly wanted a tattoo. And I got it. I got a USMC, small little lettering on my upper arm.
I draw the designs beforehand, usually the evening before or the morning of. It just depends on the imagery. I prefer to have something at least sketched out. I like to have a little bit of room once it's on the person to refine it, because there's a big difference between a flat piece of paper and a person's arm.
I feel that in modern days of tattooing, one thing that we've lost is the ritual and the ceremony. It's now done during work hours and by a schedule and by appointment, which is understandable and of course necessary in modern society. But something was very beautiful was lost, and that was the ceremony. I try to bring some ceremonial aspect back into my tattooing. It doesn't need to be the ritual of thousands of years. A ritual's ritual. You make your own. My advice to some people considering getting a tattoo would be, don't be scared to be yourself, and really don't be scared to evolve into who you want to be.
There's certain things that I still have ideas that I want to get tattooed, but for the most part, I just enjoy getting tattooed for the moment that it is. And then, you know, having that for the duration of the time I'm here.
It just seems to be in our DNA to want to adorn our bodies. You'll never get rid of tattooing. As long as there's something sharp enough to poke our skin and make us bleed, you're gonna see tattoos. They're not going anywhere.